I'm sure every single one of you guys watching this video at some point asked yourself, how should I respond to this player who is being toxic right now? You see, a lot of people recommend the mute button, but what about comms? What if that toxic player is giving out some really good comms and muting him would put the team at risk? But then again, keeping him unmuted could be putting your own mental health at risk. So, if not mute, what can you do? Well, the answer to this question, unfortunately, is not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. Rather, this was such a deep question that I figured it was worth making its own video on. So, the first step is to try and lessen your chances of ending up in games with toxic players. How do we do this? Well, we start off with the 3-hour rule. Now, disclaimer, although this rule is very beneficial, I myself am someone who queues for far longer than that, a lot of the time. But there are days where I will stick to it, so it's not like I completely abandoned this rule, but I just thought I should let you guys know. Now, to break down why the 3-hour rule is so effective, we need to understand what it is. The 3-hour rule is as follows. You hop on the game, spend 30 minutes warming up. Once you've completely done your aiming routine in the range and deathmatch, then you queue a swift play, in which your primary focus is to focus on your aim in order to get it fully warmed up. Happens.
Nice.
Once you are done with that, you then hop into a comp. Now here is where things get interesting. You now have around an hour and 20 or so minutes to play comp. You can get 2 to 3 matches within this time frame. Now, these 2 to 3 matches you play should be played with maximum focus. This will not only allow you to perform very well, but also shut up any of the toxic players with your skills. But not only that, when you limit yourself to only 2 to 3 games per day, you are already limiting the chances of you running into toxic players immensely, and at the same time, increasing your own win rate. Hence why the 3-hour rule is so strong. Now, let's say even after implementing this, you happen to find yourself in a lobby with toxic players. What do you do? The next best steps to take are the following. Number 1, learn to downplay or ignore. This includes possibly not responding back at all and just calming when necessary. Number 2, make the toxic player feel bad by responding with the utmost positivity. And number 3, never take anything in a game personally. These 3 steps on the surface level are meant to help de-escalate the situation and increase your team's chances at winning. But to truly understand each one of these steps and what it takes to become the type of person that can actually implement these steps, well then, you have to understand them on an individual level. Starting with the first one, for some people, it'll be easy to ignore and focus on comms. But for most people, it may not be so easy. So first, you need to understand why this works and why it's so effective. Essentially, when a person feels ignored, they resort to 2 actions. Try harder to get noticed, or just stop being weird. At the end of the day, if you keep to yourself, there's a high chance they would just give up and stop with the toxicity. Then comes the second one. This is the one that many people know and are aware of, but aren't actually able to apply since they take it too personally off the get-go. The reality is, you need to understand that if someone is being toxic, they either take the game too seriously for their own good, or they have personal issues going on. Once you understand this, you can no longer take those insults personally, and rather learn to respond with kindness, which will eventually make them give up. And last but not least, like I mentioned earlier, do not take it personally. All of these, of course, are solid tips, but how does one go about actually implementing them? Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is where the 3-hour rule I discussed earlier comes into play. You see, if you follow the 3-hour rule, then you will have tons of time outside of the game to yourself, meaning you'll actually have a life. With this free time, I highly recommend hanging out with friends, going to the gym to exercise, and eating healthy, surrounding yourself in the amazing world around you. You see, this game is just a small piece of the world around you. Once you truly learn to let go and play the game to enjoy it and to learn rather than just being super focused on ranking up, I promise you it'll be much, much more fun. And it should help make it easier for you to deal with any types of players that you encounter. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this guide, and I hope that this guide helps everybody in some way, shape, or form. And with that being said, take care.